Welcome, participants, to our question and answer session, responding to the wonderful presentations by Dr. Campese and Dr. Robeck. I'll take just a couple minutes to share what really struck me in both of these wonderful presentations. Dr. Campese compared the Rome and Los Angeles, and he talked about how migration makes visible world Christianity. He also draws on Pope Francis in deep and beautiful ways to talk about the choice between the miracle of the culture of encounter and synodality versus the globalization of indifference and the perception of the class of cultures. And he talks about this choice as emotionally charged at this moment in history. He describes this encounter as mystical, as an encounter with the Trinity, and calls on us to, even though this is not an easy encounter, to not keep the Lord's wounds at arm's length, but rather to discover Jesus in the discarded people, the people who are treated as waste. Dr. Robeck, in his response, grounds us in history, in the history of the church, in the history of Los Angeles, and observes that at this current moment, we have opportunities both for Christian mission and for world Christianity. But we need to respond to the call to go beyond fear to perfect love. And he reminds us of the recent writing of Pope Francis around the ecumenism of blood, which takes us back to Acts 17, and the call to a Catholicity of humanity. And he reminds us that the call to unity is a call to mission. He notes that this is an important moment for us to face all of this and to face it in the spirit of Philippians 2, as we have a choice of local and national leaders in the United States. So we'll open up to your questions. Right now, there is one question on the table, but please write your questions in. The first question says, in the wake of globalization, who makes up the role of a missionary?
I may start. Good evening. Good morning to everybody. Sorry. I am speaking from Italy, so it comes almost, automatic, the good evening. Regarding who makes the missionary today in the wake of globalization. Also here, I think we are witnessing today in Christianity, in the Roman Catholic Church particularly, this idea that all of us, all who believe in Jesus, all who are Christ connected, as the Conference of Arusha said in Tanzania last year, that we are all missionary disciples. All of us, have this task to bring, to witness, to proclaim the good news and the joy of the gospel. So it is not just, and we have been changing, especially again in the Roman Catholic Church, where we have many times we have distinguished between those who were the professional missionaries and the whole people of God. Now there is this insistence in the fact that we are all, the whole people of God is missionary. This is why, and I would add this other thought that comes also from Pope Francis. Pope Francis in his document, The Joy of the Gospel, Evangelii Gaudium, tells us that the church is called to a missionary conversion, to a pastoral conversion. And part of this pastoral conversion, it is the participation of all Christians to the task, to the mission, to evangelization.
Thank you so much. Dr. Robeck.
Yes. First of all, buonasera, my brother. Good to hear from you. And I totally agree. I think you're absolutely right. When I think about mission, I don't think about professional missionaries only. I go back to Matthew 28, where Jesus tells his followers, go and make disciples. And I think that all of us as Christians are called to go. And that doesn't mean that we necessarily go to foreign countries or go internationally or stay away from our homes for a long period of time. It means go. You can talk to your neighbor right next door and be a missionary at that point. Or you can talk to people down the street or in your community or whatever. Not just talking, but also acting. And I think it's really important for us to understand that in a sense, the definition of missionary is really an expansive definition, something that all of us can participate in if we open ourselves up to this possibility of encountering other human beings and giving them the good news of the gospel.
I think that this your responses lead very naturally into the next question. That there's one of our participants wants further clarification about what is meant by world Christianity. You both used that phrase.
Well, I will start again. World Christianity, and that's what I try to explain also in my paper, in my presentation. When it comes to Italy, world Christianity is not a well-known phrase, a well-known, expression, because right now it is more known in the English-speaking world, of course, and also in some other European countries. I know, for example, in Germany, that world Christianity. But basically, what I would say is that world Christianity, first of all, it is the awareness that Christianity has been always a world religion, a world faith, and since its beginning. It is not just, it is not just the religion. Unfortunately, for centuries we have understood it as the religion of the Western religion. No, it is the religion. It is a world religion. It is a world faith. In fact, from the beginning, from its beginning, from Jesus and his disciples, it has gone, to the ends of the earth, and it is present in the whole world. But at the same time, it is not only that. It is not only that awareness, which is important and it is fundamental. But it is also, right now, I understand world Christianity also as a discipline, as a theological discipline, in which, in a certain sense, ecumenism, history of Christianity, and missiology, the theology of mission, come together to make up a new discourse about Christianity. A discourse that is more aware of that fundamental point about which I was speaking up earlier, and also about the importance of working together as Christians, because that desire of Jesus, that we may all be one. It's essential, and by being divided as Christians, we are just causing scandal in front of the whole world. Yeah.
What do you want to add, Dr. Robeck, to that?
Yes, I once was in Moshi, Tanzania, and spoke in a Pentecostal church. Right next door was a mosque. And at the end of my sermon, we walked out into the courtyard to shake hands with people, and the loudspeaker on the mosque came on very, very loud. It was ear-piercing. And I asked the pastor, what is it that the imam is saying? And he says, well, they're telling everybody that's coming out of our church not to believe a word that you said. I asked him, why is that? He says, they're telling them that Christianity is a white man's religion, and they came and stole our lands, and they did all these kinds of terrible things to us. So you really need to think about Islam as being the religion of the people in Africa. Well, that was a real mind opener for me, real eye opener. And I began to think seriously about what does this mean? But Christianity was never a white man's religion. Christianity came out of the Middle East. It didn't come out of Europe. And yet we in the West, of course, we experience it as a European or Western kind of invention that has now gone throughout the world. But I think globalization has helped us to realize that Christianity is everywhere, and it takes very different forms as it is expressed throughout the cultures of the world. And so I think that when we think about globalization and we think about world Christianity, we have to think about the church in ways that we don't typically in the West think about them. That is expressed in cultures that are quite different from what we are, and therefore sometimes may even make us uncomfortable.
So that actually leads naturally to another question. I'm going to take these a little bit out of order because it goes so well with what you're talking about right now. The person who asked this question put it in the context of Los Angeles, but I'm going to broaden it. In what ways are you encouraged and discouraged concerning Roman Catholic and Pentecostal interactions regarding the Missio Dei? So in what ways are you encouraged and discouraged concerning Roman Catholic and Pentecostal interactions regarding the Missio Dei? And this person put that in the context of Los Angeles, but it's obviously a much broader question. So I'd like to hear the broader answer.
Personally, I am very much encouraged. In 2014, Pope Francis went, and it was really a personal visit to southern Italy. He paid a visit to, and this is, I think, it's the first time in the history of Roman Catholicism that a pope goes and visits a pastor of a Pentecostal church anywhere. And he went there, and he spoke to the people, to the community there, to this Pentecostal community, as if as brothers and sisters in Christ. And he insisted on that, And as I was also pointing out in my presentation, the centrality that the Spirit has in the teaching of Pope Francis is really unbelievable. It's really, I myself, I am rediscovering the role of the Holy Spirit, in my own faith and in the faith of the church, in the faith of the Christian community, to the point that he says, there cannot be synodality. We cannot walk together. We cannot really be a church without, the irruption of the Holy Spirit. And I repeat what he said, informally to his own diocese, the Church of Rome. The Spirit when enters in a place, when enters in a community, kicks the table and throws things away. And we have to begin again. And this is the beauty, I think, of the Spirit. And there I see, I am very, very helpful. The past is the past, and we have to recognize that our relationships have not been, that good, for many years. But now, I trust that we can walk together. We can. When I talk about synodality, I am not talking just about the synodality within the Roman Catholic Church. I want to be clear. Synodality is the path that all Christians have to take in order to be really the missionary disciples, those who proclaim and witness to the joy of the gospel.
Beautiful. Thank you. Dr. Robeck.
Yes. Well, this one hits pretty close to home since I have been the co-chair of the International Pentecostal Catholic Dialogue since 1992 and have participated in that dialogue since 1985. Not only that, I have preached at the Church of Gioacchino in southern Italy where Pope Francis went. And just this past November, I spent 2 days with Catholic charismatics in that region, alongside Raniero Cantalamessa, a friend who's been friends for 35 years, who just yesterday, I think it was named as a cardinal. So, from that side, I think things are going very well. I would say from the Pentecostal side, we've still got a long way to go. This past in 2019, the Pentecostal World Fellowship announced for the first time that they had organized a commission on church unity. And I think that's a very important step forward that's going to oversee all kinds of dialogues with various churches around the world, not just Catholic, but including the Catholic Church. I would say that for us as Pentecostals, one of the things we need to do is to think seriously about the fact that we're not really a church per se. We are a spirituality that has been able to cross all kinds of denominational lines, and it has found an incredible home within the Roman Catholic Church, where there are really literally hundreds of millions of people who identify with the Catholic Charismatic Renewal, which is Pentecostal Catholicism. And the fact that I could teach a course at the Gregorian University in 2019 was a real feat, and it was a course on Pentecostalisms around the world. And so I think that door is wide open. But I do think that we are still, I think, very much caught by fear and ignorance. I think that goes back to the educational levels of our pastors and even our church leaders. And I also think that on the Catholic side, there are so many issues related to what I would call popular religion. You know, if all the Catholics did and believed the way the Catholic doctrine officially is, that would be one thing. But there are a lot of Catholics doing a lot of very strange things that can be understood as syncretism of all kinds that happen all over the world. And even when I've talked with Cardinal Casper, when he was the head or the president of the Pontifical Council for Promoting Christian Unity, he'd say, "Oh, we don't really want to go there. That's a can of worms," you know. So it's a difficult issue. We have issues on both sides that still need to be addressed. And, you know, I'm hopeful in all of that. And I'm certainly hopeful with the recent steps of the Pentecostal World Fellowship and by the openness of Pope Francis, in apologizing for past abuses to the Pentecostals in Italy. I thought that was an incredibly important moment.
So we have so many wonderful questions, and we only have time for one more question. So I'm trying to look at these and say, wow, which one do I choose? So let's do a practical one here. On the ground realities contrast these theological reflections. Many migrant churches struggle with making connections with other local churches. How might these reflections shape concrete practice? And we only have 4 minutes.
Yeah.
So.
Look, in the Roman Catholic Church, since 2017, there has been lots of reflection about also how we should practice our faith in the age of migration. And it is interesting that in 2017 there was a speech by Pope Francis, in which he came up with the 4 verbs that should be the 4. He considers them to be the 4 main guidelines for the action of the church in terms of in relation to migrants and refugees around the world. The 4 verbs are welcoming, protecting, promoting, integrating. You know, I won't go into each of them because the thing will become too long. But I want to remind you of one thing. I mean, these verbs are not just verbs that belong to describe the action of the church. If you think about that, these 4 verbs describe the action of God toward the whole of humanity. It is God that welcomes us. It is God that protects us. It is God that promotes us. It is God who integrates us.
So we only have 2 minutes. Do you have a 1-minute statement, Dr. Robeck?
No, I could make it very quick. Yes, I think he's absolutely right in starting with God. God is the one who calls us together and makes us the people of God. That's where we start. And I think that anything, I'm thinking about our local congregation where we have a variety of people from a variety of regions of the world, including people who are not here ultimately, and the question of what do we do with these people? How do we reach out to these people? I think the only thing we can do from the start is simply to say, you are welcome. You are welcome. and make them feel at home and try to develop a relationship. And I would say that with the local church down the street that's of a different ethnic or racial part of the world. You know, I think that hospitality is the first issue that we have to master. And I think once we have mastered hospitality, then there are lots of things that can be done on a practical level.
Thank you so much, Dr. Campese and Dr. Robeck, for all of this wonderful food for thought and prayer, not just thought, but prayer.